Harlem Muse, Episode 3, Taking a Mental Health Day. That's right. As I make my way through Harlem, I see so much going on. So much building and so much expansion, so much money, and so much confusion. Dysfunction, yeah. Going through life in a revolving door. Turning up on the same corners every day. Amazing consistency. But I think the truth is, they just can't think of nothing else to do. They have reached the limits of their imagination. So let's get grounded with folks with their feet on the ground. Okay, here we go. Random interview with Michael Ford on the corner of 145th and we used to say 7th Avenue.
Right.
All right. So go, brother.
Well, Michael Ford from Bedford-Stuyvesant. I'm an immigrant from Bed-Stuy to Harlem.
Okay.
You know, when you're from New York, you usually don't borough hop, but you know.
Yeah.
When you get married, I got a beautiful wife from South Africa with some beautiful Zulu boys and everything. Wow. So, you know, I'm out here making sure that my son is going to school. He's in 6th grade, so I'm introducing him to becoming more independent.
Okay.
Growing up to be a good, strong young man and everything. So it is my duty as a father, as a man of God, to make sure that my child is running that straight path, you know, being guided by Christ. And that's my goal, that's my duty, and that's what I've been ordained to do.
Okay. All right. So what do you think, what do you see happening in Harlem now, and what do you feel about it?
Well, you know, it's hard for me to say because I'm not really a native here.
How long you been?
I've been here for 10 years.
Oh, man, come on.
I've been here for 10 years.
Right.
Done a lot of DJ work with Musa, who is the ambassador, the Harlem ambassador.
Okay.
And a few, you know, I've done the Taste of Harlem with my tea company called Denna Teas, where I brew tea and infusions and things of that nature. And I've also taught at some of the schools, some dance, at the school on 110th Street down there by the 2 and 3 train. So I've done some local things within the community, from, you know, doing my teas, DJing quite a bit, especially like at the Red Rooster with Storm and Norman, and you know, some of the guys and stuff like that. So, you know, I've been involved, but, you know, my heart is Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. But I've actually been able to appreciate a lot of the culinary experience that I've had here locally. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Of course, the gentrification is there. I mean, when I lived in Brooklyn in the 80s, you were never going to see me up here in Harlem, you know, and everything. I mean, not that people probably say the same thing about like Bed-Stuy, but Harlem got hit hard, you know, dramatically. But the city of New York knew that if they were going to make a comeback as a city, they had to start here.
I got you.
So the gentrification actually started here before it even got to Brooklyn. You know, that's a fact. So I would say probably like in the early part of the 2000s, Harlem became a project that trickled in to Brooklyn and then everywhere else around. I actually don't have a problem with gentrification. The only problem I would have with it is you can't come to places like Bed-Stuy and Harlem with the Christopher Columbus mentality.
I got you.
The way you lived in 5 towns ain't gonna be the same way here, meaning from a cultural perspective. We play our music loud.
Right.
So you can't come here and call the police and say, well, you know, they're playing the music loud, this and that,
Right.
You can't do that here.
Right.
You know, it's unheard of to call the police on people because they play the music too loud in black neighborhoods.
Right.
It's not how we do. It's a cultural thing. We just don't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Sound systems, we created that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even going, you know, DJ Concept came from Jamaica, and music is always loud. So I've traveled all over South Africa, the Congo. Everywhere you go, you see black folks. We play our music loud. We drum loud. We do everything loud. So that's just what we do, you know, and it's part of our culture. Don't try to hinder that. We're never going to be like anybody else. Because we don't fit. Just like we don't try to make you like us, but you like us. And you like our culture. So you're sitting here trying to blend in, and we don't have a problem with that. but don't regulate.
Right.
And that's where I'm coming from in that.
Okay, cool. That's good, man. That's a lot. All right. Thank you. I
Yep, not a
appreciate you,
problem.
man.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so this episode we have a very prolific writer, poet, entrepreneur, father, and friend. So, Hattress, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, Ken. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the invite.
Thanks for coming through, man. It's like a beautiful thing, man. Ever since my association with you, this goes back almost 4 years now, you know? I know you like from, I would say, top down, but I want to get to know you like from bottom up, right? So just basic questions. You grew up in Harlem, or you grew up in New York area, or where you from exactly?
Yeah, I'm initially from Harlem. I'm from 150th between 7th and 8th. I moved to Atlanta when I was like 15.
Okay.
I stayed out there till I was like 25 and then came back.
So coming back into the city, how did that influence your life or affect you? Did you want to come back, first of all?
Yeah, I was getting in too much trouble in Atlanta.
It was like that.
I was I was trying to find myself. I was trying to figure out who I was and where I fit at. And during that time, I just wasn't treating myself well or doing the best that I could, that I felt like I could with the situation that I had. Like I was in and out of dropping out of school, in and out of hanging with the wrong people, getting arrested, like just doing dumb things.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I felt like I needed to come back to like my support system. Like most of my family is still here in New York.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Back in my day, they used to send people down south to
To get
save them from the city, right?
right.
Now they sending them back up here to get away from what's happening down there.
I will say though, like if I was mature enough, during the time that I went down there and could really map out, I could have made the best out of the situation that I was handled. But I just was going through other things mentally and emotionally that, didn't allow me to find home in that space. Because now I look back at it and it's like I wish I would have stayed down there for a little bit or really took advantage of some of the opportunities that was presented to me.
Yeah, I mean, they say hindsight is 2020, right? But I think you made the best of the situation when you got back here. So, like, now, did you always consider yourself an artist or kind of outsider or an observer?
I didn't call myself a poet until I came back to New York.
But as part of your development as a writer, did you have any mentors, or was there somebody that you looked at to say, I like that style, or I want to go down that road? Or did you see yourself? I mean, did you have a perspective for yourself back then?
So I started writing basically after watching that poetry jam. Like I think I was watching the Russell Simmons that poetry,
Yeah.
and I started watching it and I fell in love with like what they were doing because like they almost made it cool to
Yeah.
me to see representation, to see people that look like me, speak like me, express
Mm-hmm.
themselves in very poetic ways and in very entertaining ways. So I think I wrote my first poem after watching the episode of that, right? Like, and I remember it vividly. It was a poem about the birth of my daughter. And like, I was like, I swear to God, I had to be like 13. Like, I didn't have any children. Like, I wasn't even like, it was like, why am I
I was
writing?
trying to say, like, wow.
Nah, and
Yeah.
but it was more so about, and like even then, like I still have that poem. Even then, I tackled my relationship with my father in that poem. Like it was about the birth of my daughter, but I was expressing all of the emotions I would have having a child, knowing the relationship with my father is how it is, and like, am I ready? And like at 13, I was asking myself, am I even worthy of that gift? Because it's like I don't really know how to do that. Like I haven't seen how to do that. So that was the start. But as far as like modeling, like I fell in love with Maya Angelou's poetry. I read all of her work. It's just something about her rhythm and just like how her words speak to the masses and not just Black people or women, or like, I mean, her words spoke to humanity. It's like the essence of that emotion. Like, I fell in love with that, and I kind of, that was my mentor. And like, I would read her work and compare my work to her work, and like try to model like the feeling that I got from reading her work. And like, if I don't get that feeling from my work, it's not good enough. Like, I gotta go back. I gotta do something else. As far as the performance though, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna credit Cito Blanco for like giving me the confidence to like actually go and perform. Because before I started performing, I was following him on Instagram, and that was like one of the first times that I saw someone my age doing this, and like doing it his way. And I was just like, wow, like, who is this guy? And then that kind of gave me the confidence to step out, start doing open mics, test out my material, learn from the crowd, learn from other performers. And then I actually got to meet him at New York because I was hitting the circuit, and I'm trying to get on, and like I had already, yeah.
About what year was that?
Yeah, that was probably like 2018, 2019.
Oh, okay, this is right. Okay.
Yeah.
When I met you though, I thought you was already, you was in the game, man. You was like doing it. You know what I mean?
Nah, I was brand new, brand new. I was just hungry. And quite honestly, a part of me feels like now looking back, like I was doing it for the wrong reason too. So it's like, it was a lot of like, I have to stay relevant. I have to get better. I have to, like, you know what I mean? It was like, and art don't move like that. And I'm at the place now where it's like, I'm realizing art don't move like that. Like, art don't move, for me, art doesn't move on the whims of society's pressure or social media pressure, or like, that don't even matter. Like I'm not going to be a chop shop for words. Like I have to wait until it comes to me. And that's where I'm at now. Like, I'm at a much more peaceful place with my art. It's not so chaotic.
Okay, that's cool. Chop shop for words. I like that. Those are bars, brother. Those bars.
That's just where I'm at now. Honestly, and I feel like in my heart, I've been there. But like even when it comes to putting out the book, like that book took 15 years of my life.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that book, man. Where's it at? You gotta hold it up or something. You got it?
Oh man, I have copies here. Hold on. So my first book is entitled If Ever We Were.
Yeah.
It is on Amazon, and it's also on my website. But that took 15 years of refinement, of understanding of who I am, of getting better as a writer. So like, I'm telling my story, right? And now I'm like, okay, let's utilize this gift that God has given me to tell other people's stories, not just mine. And like, that's where I'm at now. So it's like, I don't care to, I'm not in the performance place in my life right now. Like I'm in the storytelling place of my life, and I'm learning to transition from that performance space to the storyteller space and be okay with that. Like, because there's a lot that comes with that.
Just tell me something about your performance head, and but also you want your words to hit somebody. So how do you navigate that when you do it?
Honestly, I don't know. I think when I started performing, I was horrible. Like that's probably where the bravado comes from now, because it's like, I know I sucked, and I know I put in work to get better. Like, and I know I've been booed. I know I've had blank stares. I've been in situations, but I put myself in these situations in order to grow. So I also think too, I started performing later in my life. Like, I started performing when I was like 26, 27, 28, right? So it's like, I'm a grown man at this moment. Like, so and I'm writing about my life. So you're not going to tell me this is not true. You're not going to tell me I'm not me, regardless of how you feel about it. And I think that was the thing that helped me in the early stages when I was getting booed, or just my words weren't connecting the way I wanted them to. And then I also had to humble myself and be like, yo, you're trash, bro. Like that's the reality of it, right? Like, so instead of complaining about the audience who's not hearing you, do some more research. Figure out what they're listening to. Like, what do they like? Like, what are they into? So I literally had to sit back. I remember when I first started, after I got booed, I practiced this poem like 100 times after that. Like, walking the street, just reciting it, looking like a madman. just reciting it out loud until I got it. But then I went to an open mic and someone told me, don't perform, just watch. And I sat there and I watched who did well. I took notes on why they did well. Like what did I like about this? What I'm looking around the audience, what they liked about it. Like even now to this day, when I go to open mics, I'll listen to a poem, but I'm watching how it's received. I'm taking notes of the word choice. I'm taking notes of the movements and what you're doing, because it's like this is a never-ending process of refinement. Like I'm not the best that I could be.
Thank you. I want to thank you so much for coming through, as you always do. You always do.
Man, anything I can do to support, I'm always here. Like, I love you, bro. Like, especially with what you do, and the love that you show to other artists too is amazing. So I just appreciate you for having me on your platform.
Oh man, that's.
What happens to the names of those who have been drafted into a war they did not intend to join? Skinned and hung and shot, suffocated, blacked out of historical text for heroes. What becomes of their lives? And the flags that they did not intend to wave in the wind. You insist we remember those who died in the name of this nation's carnage. So tell me, what becomes of the names? After the hashtags have hashed out their effects and the eyes of mothers still bloom wet in the sky's arms still remain open wide for us to be swallowed up before our time. Tell me, what happens to the mind of those who have to remember that they are not going to be remembered, that they're just casualties being killed in this war? Casually, tell me, what happens? What happens if a life is born out of the darkness of its history and decides to wear it on its skin? What happens when that same life was born into a war it was not supposed to win? What happens when you believe you matter, but you straddle the fence of protest and protagonist?
Well, I hope this helped you and your mental health, because it sure helped mine. And this is what I do. Talk to interesting people, kick it with old friends, and listen to some dope-ass spoken word. What do? This is how I keep my mental health together. So you just treat yourself like you love yourself. And you know it's gonna be all right. Till next time, muse yourself, don't abuse yourself.